Do you struggle with this balance of hustling and flowing in your day? And do you find yourself maybe burning out, feeling like you've just worked way too damn hard and you have no time to rest? You have this feeling like there's always a go mode. Your to-do list is just a mile long. It's this thing I think about often. It's like the paradox of productivity. We feel like we get a lot of stuff done when we are just hard-nosed, grinding it out, staying up late, getting back to things right away and always on, feeling like we're productive when we're in motion. But in all reality, I've found it's the complete opposite of things. Your sales software shouldn't be a bummer, and when you step inside your CRM, you should actually feel equipped to do your best work. It's kind of like being in the pilot seat, but having all the easy-to-use controls. Well, that's what HubSpot's doing with the new Sales Hub. It's all designed to have you win quarter over quarter, year over year, all the way from the intuitive prospecting workspace using AI-powered tools. The point is to reduce your workflow, all the work on managing leads, the follow-ups, basically making closing deals a no big deal at all. So this is how you can wrangle your day-to-day tasks using a seamless platform that basically navigates all the contacts, calls, analytics, all in one spot. ChatSpot is also the AI-powered tool that helps you personalize a lot of things in your CRM, basically like little assistants working for you. You just got to prompt it, and basically it pulls up a contact, sums up different sales, or researches your competitors. It helps you automate a lot of things during the sales pipeline so your team or yourself can take your time back. And the whole point is to make this easier and more effective for you. So this is the time for you to close more deals and get you on track for your best Q1 yet. Learn more about HubSpot Sales Hub over at hubspot.com/sales. When you're doing less, you can actually achieve more. It's the whole thing of slowing down to get more done. And that's the paradox of productivity, and this is something that I'm actually going through right now and testing, because at the time of this recording, I'm just days away from a week-long trip I'm going to be taking with my family in Hawaii. And this is something we've been planning for a while. It's been on the calendar. And that was on purpose because I wanted to make sure that I had enough time to prepare for this. And I'm going to be totally honest. So back when my daughter was born, my second daughter, this was back in early December, I planned to take 2 weeks off, fully disconnected and completely present. Did I achieve that? No. Actually, I should say hell no. And I feel bad about that. And it was interesting because that was a time where, had a lot going on the personal side, and I was welcoming in, luckily, a very healthy daughter of mine, second daughter, and she is amazing and beautiful. And I was connected and I was focused, but I wasn't as focused or prepared for that time as I wanted to be. And if I were to go back and do it all over again, I would have had planned, I would have kind of prepared not only myself, my team, my partners, my clients, all the people around me to help support me in that, because there's there's an emotional shift. All this stuff is needed to break the cycle of the doing, and really that's the hustling. And so and not all was lost. So luckily, I kept myself sane. I just ended up working way too much during that period of time in, last December, where I just didn't want to do that much work. But you know what? Luckily, I cannot complain. There was so much happening obviously had a great, time with my new daughter and my existing daughter, but my older daughter. We were all there. We were present and happy. But at the same time, I wasn't fully disconnected like I wanted to be because work was still lingering. It was in the back of my mind. So if I were to say, I was there fully present and everything, yes, I was. But at the same time, maybe that's a kind of a no, or, there was some lingering stuff. So what I've found, because I reflected a lot on this, is that we need to really release this whole mental attachment of doing. And there needs to be this shift. And it's kind of like an emotional shift. We really need to do this to commit to ourself and being intentional about like, okay, so is there a big date coming up? Maybe it's the birth of someone, someone that's going to be arriving into your family. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you're planning a big event. It could be your wedding, could be some kind of trip that you're taking, something that you really want to be fully present. And you know that this pause in your life, and specific word meaning pause, it's time for you to commit to that, because us as entrepreneurs, we're so driven. There's so much that we know we can do, and our brain, our mental space is like, we start to come up with solutions, and there's so many things that we could see. Us as entrepreneurs, especially now at the digital age and AI and all of these things happening so fast, our brains literally will not turn off unless we are deliberate and intentional and actually commit to this break in the action to slow down and disconnect from screens and cameras and phones, and go on do not disturb mode, and don't feel bad about it. I think that's the big thing, is a lot of us entrepreneurs, not only do we get caught up and swept up in the motions of the doing, aka the hustle, which is only half of the title of this podcast, or the show name, Hustle and Flowchart. It's not all about the hustle. It's not all about the flowchart and that side of things either. But I don't know. I'd almost say that it might be a little bit more than the hustle, because I feel like that's the foundation. And I say I feel because it's genuinely a feeling. It's not a knowing thing. And we've all had these stories where we step away from the computer or the screens, we go outside, we go on a walk. There's a reason why so many people say, oh man, everything just comes together when I go outside and I move my feet, or I lay down, or I maybe just have a talk with someone, maybe myself, on these walks or these talks, and just getting out of the normal, everyday motions of work. So in doing this, I'll go to my trip in a little bit, and I want to give you some practical tips. But a big thing that with this podcast, Hustle and Flowchart podcast, I really love to anchor in the fact that us as driven people, entrepreneurs, and folks, it doesn't just stop in our business. It goes in all aspects of our life. I mean, I don't know if I'm the only crazy one, and I don't want to say, I'm not labeling myself as crazy, but at the same time, it's not like our driven minds and actions stop at our business. Like, it continues on in all aspects of our life, into our family life, to our kids, to our dogs, to our friends and family. And, we owe it to ourselves to take a moment to just breathe and slow it down a notch, and to start to really feel, what is the thing that we need? Is it to do more, or is it to take a slow, intentional break and pause to maybe recalibrate? It could be the smallest little pause. It could be a tiny 5-minute, 10-minute break in our day, or it could be a week. It could be 2. It could be a month. It could be a whole summer vacation, whatever it is. It's this time that we want to be intentional. So, getting into the practicalness of things, because I really don't think I'm the only one in this. Yet, when we introduce more of the flow or the flowchart ways of being, rather than just the doing of the hustle and grinding, that's where I feel like things just come together, and we're allowing ourselves to just kind of ease into the motion of things, to really to make the connections. Maybe there's someone that you should be or wanted to reach out for a while, but you've just started doing. Well, I bet that person's name might pop up on a walk, on a meditation, or whatever it might be, just in passing. But so taking some of these pauses in our day is absolutely crucial. And, I'm not great at this. And this is partially why I'm creating this episode. And I would say the very first thing to do when planning any of this, this being, or the flow part, the pause of your workday, is to be intentional about your time. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be a week, longer. And it's time blocking. This stuff is a really good way to really leverage our and create the time. So literally opening up our calendars. I use Google Calendar for everything. I mean, if you looked at it, it looks crazy. But honestly, like 80% of the stuff on there, man, maybe like 70%, they're time blocks. There's things on there like after 2 p.m. You're not going to be able to schedule a call with me through a booking link. There's certain days of the week that I record podcasts or go guest on podcast. I don't take calls on Friday. I have certain calls lined up with specific people in my team on certain days of the week. Those are all time blocked out. There's also time for me to remind myself to breathe, do breath work, or to work out, or to clear my emails, my Asana. Am I perfect at any one of these? No, but I'm going to do my damn best. And that's where it starts with, is to time block these things, and even time block your breaks, time block lunch, time block your naps, time block your walks. I mean, it might be a little crazy to do this, but like, fill your calendar up, because you're literally creating these bumpers. Hey, I'm going to pause this really fast and shout out another podcast that's on the HubSpot podcast network, the audio destination for business professionals. This one's a podcast hosted by someone I've followed for years. I've read his books. His name is Donald Miller, and he hosts the podcast called Business Made Simple. The whole premise there with that show is that it helps take the mystery out of growing your business. And one of the recent episodes is one with Alex Hermosi, someone else I've followed for years now. And it's all about talking about the uncertainties that we're living in right now in 2024 and beyond, but how we can take our business and shore it up. There's actually 4 principles Alex shares, and Don gets into it as well. So definitely recommend checking that out. So go listen to Business Made Simple, hosted by Donald Miller, wherever you get your podcasts. Are you juggling multiple tools to run your online business? Well, thankfully, there is a better way, and it's called Kartra. So with Kartra, boosting your income has never been easier, and that's because it's the ultimate all-in-one platform for online success, offering every tool you need to grow. Imagine building pages, funnels, courses, autoresponders, and checkouts all in one place, and now for one affordable price. So the best part about Kartra is that you can automate just about everything. It's like having a team of experts working around the clock all the time, helping you earn more. So now is the time to streamline and scale your business. Visit hustleandflowchart.com/Kartra for a free 30-day trial. Again, that's hustleandflowchart.com/KARTRA for a free 30-day trial. A guy that's been on this podcast a couple times is Nick Peterson. He wrote a whole book on this, is to create bumpers in your calendar and in your life. So now you're able to not haphazardly take these breaks or go on this vacation, but you're legitimately blocking this time. And I know this isn't anything groundbreaking, but it's a good reminder, I hope, that if you're not time blocking or filling your calendar with your time, you ain't doing it right. Because this is how you create time. I think it's Einstein. He said something like, it was Einstein time, or maybe he didn't say it, but he kind of talked about it, is that we create this. We're able to actually do this. I mean, like, schedule dates with your partners, schedule dates with yourself. That's what this is all about. And this is how you can bring this, it's not only a relationship to yourself, but to others. Schedule dates with your family, your friends. A lot of us get caught up in the motion of the doing again. And it's honestly unfortunate. And I think it gets to the well-being of a lot of entrepreneurs and driven people, is that, we get caught up in the motion of so many things. And, it's the all or nothing things. We put a lot on our shoulders to get things done and to get results. And honestly, if the results are great, awesome, we celebrate it. We honestly should be celebrating everything, even our failures. But unfortunately, with our failures, sometimes it feels like, well, shit, we didn't do it good enough, or it's my fault, or there's just so much pressure. And, that could be very, very, it could hurt us as driven people, feeling like we should be able to get this done and do and hustle and grind harder. But I think you would grind yourself into a grave if if you just keep pushing and not schedule time for yourself to pause and slow down. I was looking at some crazy stats, and they're not perfect stats, but if you look this up, I mean, there's a lot of stats on them, or at least articles being written. And I think it's a big piece that this podcast is coming to, I want to really start to highlight more is the mental health and honestly the suicide rate of entrepreneurs. And, you see this a lot in the startup culture, Silicon Valley, and for all sorts of reasons. And after COVID, during COVID, it was a big issue, and it still is increasing from what I can see. And there's no perfect stats, but the suicide rates and the mental health of entrepreneurs and people just like you and I, it ain't good. It doesn't look good. And I think that comes a lot down to not creating time for ourselves, not to be mindful, not to have a great relationship with not only ourselves, but with others, and to get out of the box that we all live in or work in, that is, or it could be both. And, this is crucial for our well-being. If you ain't going to be able to last, you know, um, cutting it out here and work or whatever, I mean, I don't know. It's honestly, it's hard to have words around this because, I lost my father to suicide about 5 years ago. He was not an entrepreneur, but I see and I understood a lot of patterns about him after he took his life, and a lot of those things can be related to us and what we're doing here as entrepreneurs. There's a lot of patterns that help anyone stay who they are, and then when they stop being the person they are and doing the things and I'm talking about the flowchart side of things, the things that are being mindful to yourself, things like working out, breath work, mindfulness, rest, connection, and relationships with yourself and others. Um, things can get dark pretty quick. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of entrepreneurs face this because we feel like we're in this world by ourselves, but we're really not. So at the end of the day, the reason why I'm choosing to take a week off in Kauai or do a lot more of this, and also to become a lot more mindful in how I spend my time during my days, like take a break. It's okay. Go take a walk, go take a nap, go do some NSDR or some yoga nidra for 20 minutes. I mean, these are things that keep me sane, and I hope that you can practice this yourself as well, because work does not make your life. A lot of us define ourselves through our work, and I think it's very dangerous, and it can definitely lead to burnout. It has us disconnected from our body and our being side, and it keeps us in our brain. And going back to this thought of the pause, a good friend of mine and client as well, Lauren Abrams, has 52 Weeks of Hope as her podcast. And she talks a lot about this, about the power of the pause. And there's so many benefits. There's a lot of evidence behind this that shows that taking breaks leads to better creativity, problem solving, and overall mental health. I mean, there's so many case studies of this all around. And I feel it in myself when I take these breaks, when I do breath work in the morning to not only, revitalize or like get me going in the morning, but also it's like taking that break in the middle of the day. It's a quick reset. I talk about it in the Sally Up episode I did, the push-up challenge I do every day. So, to help you prepare for this time, and maybe it's a trip, or maybe it's just, maybe you're going for a week, or maybe you're just trying to take a day off. Like, figure out how you can get some help. Communicate this to other people. Maybe it's to your partner. Communicate to yourself first, like time block everything on your calendar, but also communicate to your team members. Tell them what your intentions are, and utilize things that keep communication quieter. Quiet the communications, like out of office messages on your email. Like I said, do not disturb on your phone. Do it during the day. Do it during your work day. Definitely do it when you're on trips, when you're not trying to bring that work into things. And people get it the more you communicate. And that's exactly what I've done with my team, done with my partners, with customers and clients. uh, there's a clear delineation of like, this is the digital detox time that I'm choosing to take for myself, and I genuinely think you should do the same. You know, that helps with reducing screen time, so you don't get those triggers. It reduces any kind of messages, email, texting, calling, and the more that we can quiet this down and then get the support from people around us, we're obviously going to feel better. And this thing can extend into, if you're practicing this around maybe a trip like I am, I can also practice this around mini breaks, staycations, or even just like a day. You know, if I don't want the inputs from others, then maybe it's a time to just detox for a day even. And there's so many ways to do this for ourselves. You could do this at your own place. You can go do a local retreat if you want to. I mean, there's so many ways to recharge, but the big thing is to really figure out what lights you up. Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's an interest, something out of work that helps you feel more connected to yourself and then also connected to others, because that's genuinely how you're going to feel better. That's how you're going to stay in the game longer, because like we talked about, it's all about slowing down to be more productive, or to slow down to speed up is another saying as well. But really, it's all about the long-term game. That paradox of productivity is genuinely slowing down to get more done. And that's not the common thread. It's not what you normally think of when you think of productivity, but this is exactly what's worked for me. It's what I'm doing right now. And that's why my upcoming trip is going to be a success, because I've planned for it. And I know you can do this yourself, not only for a trip, but for every single day, and create that time for yourself. So I want to hear what you think about this. If I'm alone in this, well, I'm going to be that crazy person in Hawaii by myself, having a great time and not thinking about work. But at the same time, I love it. I'm going to come back recharged. That's what it does for me every single time when I do this. So I hope the same for you. And let me know. Email me. I'm just going to joe@hustleandflowchart.com. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you practice this, if you have other ways that you approach work and to take this time off and to flow more, I would love to hear it, because I want to keep talking about this. And let me know if this resonates with you. Okay. All the best. I'll see you when I'm back from Hawaii. Bye.